Good evening, everyone. This is a hybrid meeting of the City Council. Members of the public can view this meeting live on Channel 8, the city's website, and YouTube. Live Spanish translation services are being provided for tonight's council meeting by telephone. Please dial 720-386-9023 and use code 104091 *.
Se ofrecen servicios de interpretación en español para esta reunión del Consejo Municipal por teléfono. Marque el número 720-386-9023 y utilice el código 104091#.
Thank you. All votes on tonight's agenda will be conducted as a roll call vote. I will now call the meeting to order. I'm Susan Noble. I'm Mayor Pro Tem. Our mayor, Steve Douglas, is on a business trip, but he will be joining us by Zoom. And I will now ask the clerk to call roll. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Mayor Douglas.
Present.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Noble.
Present.
Councilmember Guardiola.
Present.
Councilmember Teeter.
Present.
Councilmember Sandoval.
Present.
Councilmember Kim.
Here.
Councilmember Dukes. Councilmember Trujillo.
Here.
And Councilmember Young.
Present.
We have a quorum. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I need a motion and a second to excuse members not present. Councilmember Sandoval.
So moved.
Councilmember Trujillo.
I'll second.
Thank you. I will ask the clerk to take a roll call vote.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The vote is now open. And I will ask for Mayor Douglas's vote, please.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Please join me now in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We're moving now to adopt the agenda, but for those of you who may be in the chambers or online regarding PUDA 25-0003, we have a change this evening. It has come to the attention of the council that the required direct mailing notices for PUDA 25-0003, an ordinance approving the Hogan Property PUD Zone Document Amendment Number 2 to consolidate planning areas B through D, modify the allowable uses, establish development standards, and expand the boundary of the PUD for the properties located at 10230 Chambers Road and 15955 East 101st Way Crossing. 101st Way, consisting of 16.82 acres. As a result, the council cannot act on this item at tonight's meeting. City staff and the applicant will renotice and reschedule the hearing to meet all notice requirements under the city's land development code. So I'm looking for a motion and a second to amend the agenda to remove the public hearing on the public hearing on ordinance PUDA 25-0003 from tonight's agenda. Councilmember Teeter?
So move.
Councilmember Young?
I second.
Thank you. Is there any debate? All righty. The motion on the floor is to remove the public hearing Ordinance PUDA 25-0003. Will the city clerk please take a roll call vote?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The vote is now open. And Mayor Douglas, your vote, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, and it passes unanimously. All right, we move down to public comment. All public comments, except for those regarding public hearings, will occur now. If you intend to comment in a public hearing on tonight's agenda, please refrain from doing so until the public comment portion of that hearing. Public comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. The public shall direct all comments to the full city council, not to an individual council member, please. Will the city clerk call on any virtual or in-person speakers for us?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. We have no virtual speakers tonight, but we do have a few in-person speakers, starting with Jackie Valdez.
Thank you.
Good evening, council, city management. I would like to discuss a little bit about the flooding, but I have the understanding that we're going to talk about that. Is that correct?
About the,
About the flooding in the area of Albion and 68th in Colorado?
no, you can speak about anything you'd like. The only thing we're not hearing is the land use hearing.
Okay, so we're still having numerous amounts of flooding. I did notice that this last bad rainstorm that we had, I looked down and the drainage was draining. But because the low-lying area in the front of my house is so low and the amount of water, it was still flooding enormously along with on the backside of Colorado Boulevard, backside of Albion. So hopefully we'll have some information on what we're going to do about this soon. Another thing that I wanted to discuss is that we have had some issues, and I understand that we are short-staffed with the police department. I get that. But we've been short-staffed for a very long time. And when you're having problems with these young gentlemen flying up and down the street at excessive amount of speed and not getting called back or not showing up, that's a problem. When you come home late at night and you see a vehicle that looks suspicious pull up into a property and you contact the police department and you're on the phone with dispatch for over 10 minutes and, well, they're on their way. 3 officers showed up, but by the time they got there, they were already gone. I explained at that time that I had seen the vehicle in the area before. Down the street, drug area. At the park, drug area. We have to start doing something. This is getting really bad. And I don't know what we're gonna do, if we need to maybe sign on with Adams County Sheriff's Department, which I had just mentioned with the gentleman behind me. But we need to do something because fireworks are getting ready to happen. I mean, roadways are out of control. Trucking is out of control. They are flying down 68th. We have all that construction going on with CDOT. And I said this was gonna happen. And no one has control. No one has a handle on this. Not the city, not the council, not CDOT, not the police department. So, I've said again in the past, and I mean what I say, I have the equipment to block that road. If we don't get something done soon, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna block it.
Thank you, Mrs.
Thank you.
Valdez.
Mayor Pro Tem, next up is Keith Rogers.
Evening, council, city management. I was informed we were gonna have something in writing on what's gonna be done with the flooding. I sent some of you some pictures of this last rainstorm. The 2 cars that are parked in their driveway in their backyard, the water is clear up to their back step. Another gal has got her pop-up camper sitting in a freaking lake. All the rock she's had down there for many years has washed away. My fence is about to fall down. I can't get my gate open anymore, so much stuff has come down off of Colorado. It's blocking my gate. I can't even get my gate open. We gotta get something done now before we have another big rainstorm. Again, on the police department. I called Friday night and I called Saturday night. They call me back 5 freaking hours later. Well, we're in the neighborhood and we don't see anything. Well, of course not. It's been 5 hours. We need to get some more police department people out here. You know, get on with Adams County, Brighton, I don't care who, Denver even, because this is getting out of hand. These speeders are getting out of hand. He's already run from the cops a couple of times. Now he has no back bumper, illegal window tint, illegal exhaust, you know, bumpers off of it, the side's been marked up on it. He's wrecked it a couple of times, I'm sure. But before he kills somebody, and I mean, I've heard him from 68th and Albion, clear over on Vasquez, just getting on it as hard as he can get. We got to get some undercover cops over there, unmarked cars. Catch this kid before he kills somebody. They did finally get a hold of the ATV people, and come to find out, they've already been warned about their ATV. Oh, we didn't know the laws. Well, bull, you were told by the officer once before. You lied and said you didn't have any knowledge whatsoever. So we need to get these kinds of things in the paper, on the news, whatever, online, get the fireworks stuff online, in the news, whatever, before it all starts again, because it's gonna be bad. We're gonna be burnt to a crisp. We don't get something done with fireworks this year. I mean, they're ridiculous. They've started 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Our Mr. Rogers, can you tell us when staff plans to share with this neighborhood that Mrs. Valdez and Mr. Rogers represent about plans for water management, wastewater management?
I would say, ma'am, we are still working on a certain level of materials to be able to communicate the complexities of the matter as it pertains to safe water conveyance within the Adams Heights neighborhood holistically. I would say my importance is to get the messaging and the education materials right, as opposed to rushing to provide a form of communication to one or two residents, just speaking frankly. So with that being said, given the complexity of the matter, it could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, it could be longer than that, as we're continuing to collect and trying to be able to simplify the information for those that will be impacted, but also to create some expectations about the involvement that we will like to bring them into that discussion as we go through a process. So as I get updates, I will then be able to provide updates to the council, as well as we'll be able to provide updates accordingly to the community. So I would say that's where we're at right now, ma'am.
Okay, I know we'd appreciate it, and I'm sure they would also. They've been coming before us for a couple of years, so when we can get that taken care of, it'd be great. Do we have more speakers?
Yes, we do. We have a couple more. Next up is Nate Harris.
Thank you.
Hello. As you're all aware, a group of us have been circulating a petition to give a voice back to the residents of Commerce City about the surveillance systems the city is installing. And as I've walked around door to door actually talking to people in this town, I've learned that you guys really don't know much about the community. I knocked on hundreds of doors asking people how they felt about the cameras, and the overwhelming majority of people, well, they didn't even know they were there. Wait, that thing that's on a pole down the street, that's a camera that the city put up without my permission, without my input at all? Oh, hell no, I'm against that. People with it installed directly outside their driveways, tracking every time they leave their own home, said a crew just showed up one day, put it in there, and didn't tell them anything about it. Some people who at least knew it was a camera, they thought they were speed cameras, which sounds like would at least actually do some good in this town. And I understand why you guys didn't inform anybody about these, because Flock told you not to, because shocker, turns out nobody actually wants these things, and therefore Flock wouldn't make any money if you told them about them. For weeks, I've been trying to remind myself that this whole situation could be explained by just incompetence, but every day it gets harder to see the situation for what it is: willful and ignorant, intentional maliciousness, greed, and a complete disregard for the well-being of the citizens of this city, punctuated by the fact that many of you insist on doubling down on spreading corporate propaganda and false police statistics to try to justify violating the rights of everyone in Commerce City. Denver's latest crime stats just prove that Flock's makes zero impact on car thefts, as I'm sure some of you were briefed by Flock's PR team to ignore. A city cannot function when those making decisions are intentionally ignoring the will of its citizens. So anyway, so rather than this always being a one-way 3-minute rant at you guys, I'll leave you guys with some actual action items. Number one, I'd like the city management to disclose the full contract with Flock, including its current state. Has it been signed? Is it going to be modified? Can it be modified? And exactly when and where these devices are going to be installed around the city. I can get it from you guys through open records, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to actually be open and honest with your community and release it under your own power. Number two, I would encourage all members of council to not only sign this petition, but encourage your constituents to as well. The best political leaders are those that set aside their egos and give as much control back to those they represent, rather than ruling with an iron fist in a lust for power. Rejecting that proposal would mean that you think you know what's best for the people better than the people in this city. It would demonstrate that you know deep down you made the wrong choice and you're terrified of being rejected by your community. And most importantly, it would mean that you don't trust the citizens of Commerce City to make decisions for themselves. So stop hiding behind your lies and your fragile egos and do the right thing on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mayor Pro Tem, next up is Rob Schechter.
He was here to speak on the other matter.
Thank you. Okay, then our last speaker is Renee Bullock. No comment. Then we are done with public comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Members of the public were able to submit written comments online and by mail. Written comments were received by the deadline and incorporated into tonight's agenda. If follow-up is necessary, a staff member will contact you. I'm now going to move on to notice council business, and I'll invite Councilmember Sandoval to introduce their item.
I bring notice council business, which is, I'm bringing this motion forward to ensure that proclamations are recognized in a way that's meaningful for the city, that are consistent and reflective of the community's expectations. As the number and the variety of proclamations have grown, council members want to explore whether there are alternative formats or processes that might better honor recipients while also supporting efficient council meetings. And this direction would allow staff to review options and recommend approaches that balance tradition, community engagement, and meeting management. So I motion to direct the city manager to evaluate and provide recommendations to city council for presentation and acknowledgement of approved proclamations at the beginning of the calendar year. The city manager shall provide this evaluation and recommendations to the city council at a study session no later than the end of Q3.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Guardiola?
Second the motion.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, I have a question for you. You're intending this to have like a scan of best practices, including other communities, how they might do it and so forth? Or when we vote on a proclamation, it's in our consent agenda, so that happens during the meeting. And the people would typically be here if there's going to be photos.
So this is a motion to essentially give management, city management an opportunity to provide us input on ways that we can make, one, meetings efficient, and also an opportunity for us to be able to better honor and recognize these proclamations that have been approved at the beginning of the year, and really to find a way to give each of the proclamations the recognition it deserves, and use that as an opportunity to potentially market the city or take pictures outside of council. So it may look different, but this is essentially directing the city manager to bring those suggestions so that we can identify what the best option would be to recognize each of those proclamations and just honor them.
Okay, so you're envisioning then determining the proclamation, who will receive proclamations at the beginning of the year?
No, not necessarily who will be receiving those, but how we honor those. So it may, essentially a study session would give us an idea of like the different ways that we can do so.
Okay, there's nuances. Mayor Douglas?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, this is the second time we've gone through this type of situation with proclamations. You know, when we had proclamation, we would pull a couple off. We wouldn't do all of them. And it really served our community at the time because it's at a public meeting. So to do this differently, I'm interested to find out how this is going to happen, but it's like, you know, here we are, another disruption with the proclamations. And yeah, I'm not too happy this is being brought back with the twist. So thank you.
What do you mean? Can you explain further, like, your concerns? Because right now, the way that the proclamations are handled is especially like in May, I think it's May, we have a long list of proclamations and we can only pull 2. And so there's differing proclamations that should be highlighted, and we don't get the opportunity to do so because we only can pull 2 to talk about those and take a picture.
Yeah, I say go back to
if we can explore a way to advertise and recognize that would be a good option.
Well, we've done it for years the other way. It was just that some council members didn't like that because it was interfering in regular business, which it is regular business. And so I think it was disrespectful the way it was done. You can only pull 2. I think we should go back to the way it used to be. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Douglas. And May is one of those months where everybody decides it's their special month. So there's a lot that happens that month. That is true. Councilmember Trujillo?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just want to thank Councilwoman Sandoval and Council Member Guardiola for bringing this up. This really does come on the heels of us having to, as we know, current policy is that we can only pull 2 proclamations off of the consent agenda. And what we saw in May was we had like 18 or 19, right? And so we're just trying to figure out a better way to honor our community by allowing us a different process. We don't know what that looks like yet. The motion is just simply instructing the city staff to bring forward some different ideas around that. So I don't see this disrespectful in any way. I actually see this as trying to honor our community. So thank you very much. I will be supporting this motion.
City Manager Rogers, you had your hand up.
I was simply going to share, I had the opportunity to speak with Councilmember Sandoval as she was drafting her motion and understood that this was an opportunity for the council to explore, to what also Councilmember Trujillo had noted, opportunities on how to further recognize and provide honor, but also broadening the communication through our various platforms and formats outside of what has been the traditional format, what has been the traditional process of it's being singularly read at our council meeting and then publishing of those images after the fact. So, and knowing that we've seen a growing number of proclamations, and obviously with the stipulations that we currently have with only 2 being pulled, you find yourselves in a juxtaposition. So how do you provide the level of, for lack of better words, respect for all of those proclamations coming before you, and how do you honor and how do you present that information to the community for their awareness, for their education, but also for their appreciation for where the city is taking a philosophical stance of support with respect to that request. So our goal was to, and thinking about this, if it was to be approved, would be to bring that optionality back to the council for your debate and discussion.
All right, thank you. Do I have, I have a motion and a second. Will you call, if there is no further discussion, will you call roll?
Thank you. The vote
you.
is open. And Mayor Douglas, your vote, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, the vote is 8-1. Thank you. We are now going to move on to presentations, speaking of, and happily, we are beginning with the 60th Annual Memorial Day Parade winners. I will invite Travis Huntington, Community Relations Manager, forward to introduce the parade winners.
All right, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Mayor Douglas, members of City Council. I'm Travis Huntington, the city's Community Relations Manager, along with Maricela Torres, our Administrative Specialist. And tonight we're honored to be here with you to recognize the award winners from the 60th Annual Commerce City Memorial Day Parade, held on May 25th. The parade is a treasured Commerce City tradition dating all the way back to 1964 and has grown to become Colorado's largest Memorial Day parade. This year's parade had the most entries since 2018 and brought thousands of spectators into the heart of the community to mark this occasion. The support of the residents and the creativity and patriotism of our entries are part of what make this event so special for the community. So tonight we are glad to be here with you to recognize award winners as voted on by members, mostly of the Commerce City Veterans Commission. One award also is chosen by the Grand Marshal, Mr. Devin Romero of the Colorado Army National Guard. And this year, we also have one new award to recognize the People's Choice Award for our first Memorial Day car show, which was held in partnership with the Commerce City Cultural Council. And we have a couple of Cultural Council representatives here with us this evening as well. So for those winners who are present, if you, once you hear your name called, please send a representative up to the front to receive your award. And then if you could stick around for a few minutes, we plan to do a group photo of all the award winners who are present here this evening. And those award winners who are not collecting their award here tonight, we'll offer them a different opportunity to come take home a trophy at a different time. So first and foremost, we'd like to again offer the award winner for our brand new award. And so the first time in this event, we partnered with the Cultural Council for a Cultural Council Memorial Day car show. And the People's Choice Award for the car show is Darlene's Monte Carlo from Exquisite Car Club. Thank you for being here as well. All right, and our Grand Marshal's Choice Award this year, again, as voted by Devin Romero, this year's Grand Marshal is the Military Vehicle Collectors of Colorado. We'll connect with them later. All right. Our next category here this evening is and these are the awards all now voted on by members of the Veterans Commission. The Community Spirit Award this year, our third place award winner is the Western Heirs. All right. Second place, we have Exquisite Car Club. Come on back up. And first place this year in Community Spirit is the Colorado Old Iron Association. All right, our most creative award category, our third place winner, South Adams County Water and Sanitation District. I'm told they considered bringing the inflatables tonight, but decided against it. Second place for most creative, another longtime parade favorite, we have El Jebel Shrine. And first place this year in the most creative category is the Whipple Coffee Detachment of the Marine Corps League and Foothills Young Marines. Some tells me we might see them again here in a minute. The most patriotic category for our award winners this year, the third place award winner is American Legion Post 151. Our second place winner this year and most patriotic is our Combined Honor Guard, which featured members of the Prairie View High School Navy JROTC and our Transportation Security Administration. And our first place award winner in the most patriotic category is the Whipple Coffee Detachment of the Marine Corps League and Foothills Young Marines. All right, and last but most certainly not least, our Best of Parade category, our third place honoree this year is Military Vehicle Collectors of Colorado. Our second place awardee this year is the Adams County Sheriff's Office. And first place this year, voted as Best of Parade, another favorite who's here with us year after year, is the Western Heirs. So they got true trophies to pick up. So we will follow up with the winners who are not here this evening. But in closing, on behalf of the parade organizing committee, we want to give all of our appreciation to the entries, the community members who make the parade so special, volunteers and staff who, again, continue to make this such a great event for the community. And we will see everyone next year for the 61st Annual Commerce City Memorial Day Parade. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to have a photo opportunity at the front of the chambers. If the winners and their teams will please come to the front
absolutely. Yeah, you can still stand. You can still stand. You can still stand up. And that, because then we'll put some people right in the middle of the room to help you out. Yeah. Let's see, let's put some right here on the bottom and then some on the middle stair. Oh, no, I ain't going that one. Oh, no, I meant stand, you can stand. That's okay. All right. Yeah, and then on that middle stair, yeah, that's right. All right, perfect. Can we get, sure, you can stand right there, maybe, is that okay? Perfect, and then, yeah, we'll fill that gash and stuff. I can see, yes, I can see him now. I think I can see all the faces, all the trophies. All right, perfect. All right, yeah, we can just do a whole big photo shoot. Thank you, sir. Still going.
Congratulations again to the winners, and thank you to all the participants in the parade and all those who help organize the parade. Is one of the most fun days in Commerce City. Thank you. Yep, bye-bye. All right, we're moving on now to the DEI Commission Annual Update. And I will invite Melissa Subner, Community and Cultural Liaison, forward to introduce the presentation.
Hello, City Council. Good evening. My name is Melissa Sumner. I am the Community and Cultural Liaison for the city, and part of my role is supporting a handful of our boards and commissions, one of them being the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission, presenting to you tonight. So I have Iona Long Soldier, Chair of the DEI Commission, here to provide that update.
Thank you, Melissa. Well, again, good evening. My name is Iona Long Soldier, and as Melissa said, I am the chair for the DEI Commission out here in Commerce City. Am I reading the whole?
I think we need Dylan back.
All right, then. Well, yeah, good. Okay, thank you. All right, so as I said, we're here for the DEI Commission Annual Report today on June 15th. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read from the slides first. So our DEI Commission members are, as I mentioned, myself, Ashley Roman, who's the Vice Chair, Bianca Gonzalez de la Rosa, Marco Vega, Dina Hall, she's the one who did the proclamation tonight, Joanne Stranahan, Michelle Curry, Councilmember Stephanie Trujillo, and Councilmember Craig Kim. And as noted, there are currently 4 vacancies. All right, so about the DEI Commission. So we can opt up to 13 members, which means 11 residents and 2 city council members. Our meetings are on the last Wednesday of each month at 5:30 p.m., alternating every month between meeting virtually or in person at various locations. Our mission is, the commission shall advise the city council and city manager regarding opportunities to address issues of diversity, promote programs, and provide guidance to create a more equitable, accessible, safe, welcoming, and inclusive government and community, and practices for conducting outreach, public engagement, removing barriers, and increasing access in a diverse community, events and activities relevant to promoting inclusion in the community. All right, so we have 4 goals. So for 2026 goals, our first one is support and/or propose legislation to City Council that is informed by the community voice. Now, it has created and posted a community survey to the city's Speak Up online platform through Zen City, as well as at Speak Up quarterly events. The survey will help the commission identify priorities to focus its efforts in advising City Council on diversity, equity, and inclusion topics. Commission continues to work with City Council representatives, specifically Kim and Trujillo, to provide feedback on specific issues coming before the council. Our second goal is to increase attendance and diversity across all events. So far the DEI has hosted 2 community movie events celebrating minority or historically underrepresented populations. So that means we celebrated Black History Month and Asian American and Pacific Islander Month. Now, February's event saw attendance increase of 5 times the amount of attendees. May's partnership with Parks Recreation and Golf's Park After Dark event brought 70 more attendees than last year's standalone event. The commission is planning a 3rd movie event for Native American Heritage Month in November. So we're expecting increased attendance at the annual Juneteenth celebration this Friday with more live entertainment, crafts, and engaging offerings. And then we just recently hosted a table at Adams County Pride and Music in the Park, as well as Hispanic Heritage later this year, with event-specific engagements. So goal number 3, make regular meetings accessible and educational for community members to attend. So far, DEI has hosted guest speakers from Anythink Library, Community Wellbeing, the Colorado Fiscal Institute / Bal Pauli Center, and Soar with Parks, recreation, and golf at in-person meetings to share about their inclusive programming, resources, and offerings. We also hosted in-person meetings at various locations throughout the city, such as the Civic Center, Eagle Point Recreation Center, and Bison Ridge Recreation Center. Now, our 4th goal is to build new partnerships with community-based organizations. We partnered with Community Wellbeing Division in March for a feminine product drive in celebration of Women's History Month. So commissioners also plan to support and volunteer at their annual backpack giveaway. And what I will say for the feminine product drive is one of our most successful. So the DI Commission did not have to offer any monies. There was plenty of products. So yeah, that was started by a former member. So like I told Melissa, I'll have to let her know that her original idea is becoming successful already in its 3rd year. We also partnered with the Colorado Fiscal Institute and the Bal Policy Center for a community presentation. And we partnered with Parks, Recreation, and Golf Department for their May Park After Dark event to celebrate Asian American and Pacific Islander Month. We did watch Lilo and Stitch, the live version. And we're partnering with the Cultural Council for the upcoming Juneteenth celebration. That is scheduled for this Friday, June 19th at Pioneer Park from 4:30 to 7:30. And here are our proclamations. So far in 2026, DEI has provided proclamations to the City Council for Black History Month, Mental Health Awareness Month, and Juneteenth. And at least 3 more are planned for the remainder of the year. All right, so that takes us to the questions section.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. We really appreciate it. You're doing fabulous work. Thank you. Does anyone have questions for Chair Long Soldier? Councilmember Sandoval.
I don't have a question. I just wanted to say thank you for celebrating the diversity in this community and highlighting the importance of the inclusivity and the need for that, especially at a time that is almost like they're trying to diminish that. And so the work that you do is very, very important. So thank you.
You're welcome. We'll let the rest of the commission know. I know they'd appreciate the kind words.
Councilmember Kim.
No question, just more so. Thank you for your leadership, seriously, as far as being as chair. I hope you continue that moving forward. Really appreciate everything that you've done, day in, day out, creating this DEI commission basically out of nothing into what it is today. So it's been a big uphill battle, and I appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Thank you. That doesn't mean a lot. Appreciate it.
Councilmember Trujillo.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you so much, Chair. Really appreciate all of the hard work that you do on the commission, and also to the rest of the commission members. Thank you for the annual update and all that you do to celebrate the diversity in Commerce City. That really makes this such a special place. So really fortunate to serve alongside you and look forward to continuing to do the work. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much again. Appreciate it. See you next year. And
Mayor Pro
Friday.
Tem,
Pardon me?
I have my hand raised, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Mayor. Go
You're
ahead,
fine.
jump in.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And thank you, Chair, along with you for not only participating and being a leader with the DEI Commission. You guys have done a great work. You know, this was established a few years ago, and every year things are improving. There's also opportunity for our diverse community, and you know, especially highlighting, making things special for people as well. And public engagement is number one. I think you guys have been doing a great job on that front. So keep up the good work. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Much appreciated.
Have I overlooked anyone else? No. All righty. Thank you again.
All right. Thank you.
All right, we're moving on now to the strategic plan refresh, part 1. And I'll invite Courtney Brown, who is one of our deputy city managers, forward to do the presentation.
Hello.
Ooh, great. I wasn't thinking it was on.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Mayor Douglas, Council. I'm so excited to be before you this evening. My name is Courtney Brown, Deputy City Manager for Strategic Initiatives, and I am joined this evening, supported this evening by Jordan Roberts. He'll be helping to support as we navigate through the presentation and helping to keep my memory on point with reminding me of some important points. So before we jump in, I'll wait until we got the presentation fully prepared. Great. Awesome. So tonight marks our first touch point together in regards to the strategic plan refresh and the process that's going to be forthcoming. What you'll see and hear tonight really is about an intentional evolution of our current strategic plan, one that aligns more closely with the needs and the opportunities and the direction shaping Commerce City's future, as each of you articulated in our discussion during the council retreat. We know that discipline creates results, and so a strategic approach that is both focused will create the results that we're looking for. Our goal with this strategic plan refresh really isn't to create a new plan, but instead is to build a clear, disciplined framework that gives you confidence that we're focused on the right priorities, respects the distinct roles of governance and administration, and ensures residents can see how their priorities, are shaping the work of the city. Across the refresh, and ultimately throughout the management of the plan, we're going to be grounded in both qualitative and quantitative data. Data-driven decisions are critically important, And we want to look at community input throughout this process, through the lived voices, experiences, and aspirations of our residents as important touch points for us, as well as budget, CIP, and operational data. So it will speak to what we can sustainably deliver with the available resources, staffing, and system capacities that we have on an operational level. This pairing of these two data points is really critical and essential as we move forward, and it means that your direction will remain grounded in what matters most to the community and what is operationally achievable. This is part one, as I said, of 3 scheduled touch points with you on the strategic plan refresh. And tonight really sets the frame for that. Next slide, Jordan. Oh, I'm sorry, I advanced too quick. You were quick for me. Thank you. So our purpose tonight really is to confirm and to build on that council retreat direction that you formalized in May. I want to preview the refresh path before us, not to revisit the retreat decisions that we made because we formalized those already, but really to build upon those. Also identifying the 2 forthcoming checkpoints that we have for you, July 27th, and then September 21st when we adopt the new framework. And then, so tonight's decision points are centered around 3 areas: recall and affirm, based on that direction that we're moving in the right path, to help you to gain an understanding, to react to the why, the what, and then the how framework that we're proposing with this refresh, and then discuss immediate next steps toward the fall adoption. As the plan develops, public engagement, budget, and operational data, as I mentioned, will continuously inform both the refresh process and the ongoing management of the plan. This ensures stability, predictability, and again, that we're grounded in firm decision-making. Next slide, please. So this slide and the next are the goal category statements associated with the goal categories that you reviewed in May. Wanting to give you the opportunity to see these goal statements against the goal categories supported by the themes that we talked through during the retreat, just to ensure that this is, for your understanding, representative of what the backbone of the refreshed strategic plan will be built on. Thus far, this together reflects what you elevated as it being primarily important during the retreat, what you identified residents are consistently saying to you about what they value, and it's informed by what we know at this time budgetarily, operationally, for the long-term community outcomes. And this is where qualitative and quantitative data meet. You'll see the 6 categories, the first 3 here, and the next 3 will be on the next slide. Economic investment and opportunity, safe and thriving community, healthy, connected, and sustainable environment, and the associated goal category statements. Those goal category statements define what the goal category means. The cross-cutting themes speak to the robust conversation that we had as it related to these goal categories and what you believed those categories meant to you. The new piece of information here for you is the draft goal category statements. You've previously seen and were in agreement with the goal categories, but the goal category statements are new. I believe you also received this in your packets as well. So.
Did you want us to do these page by page, slide by slide? Wait until the end?
With your questions or
Correct.
your feedback? If
Correct.
you would like to give comment now, I can take that.
All right. Does anyone have comment on this particular slide? I have 2 questions for you. One of them is to have a better understanding of environmental resilience. What is staff's thinking about what that means? What does that mean to you?
Well, based on the statement here as it relates to the goal category and what we talk through, protect and enhance, we're talking about healthy, connected, and sustainable environment, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so my understanding, based upon our conversation during the retreat, is the environment means both our physical environment and all that which supports the physical environment. So strong parks, amenities, it means belonging and that which we support for belonging. So public spaces. Is there more that you would like to talk about as it relates to that?
Well, I'm going back and looking at the photo I took of the poster, and a tree canopy was on there, was on our poster from the retreat.
So this defines the goal category in its broadest sense.
And-
We are not talking about specifics. That
Okay.
gets more into the how.
Okay. And does it have anything to do with like clean water, clean air, or anything like that?
Well, those are those aspects that support the environment, so they could.
Okay. I just want to have if we're planning for the future, if we're on the same page or a different page. That's what I was trying to define. Thank
Right.
you.
So in this category statement, our definition of the environment supports that which is spaces and things that contribute to our environment. So water would be that, trees. And that gets more into, as I said, the how.
Right. Could you, under economic investment and opportunity, I really like that, the draft goal statement, and I think one of the reasons I was having this question in my mind is because this also used the term environment. So we have, we have environment coming up in two different goals. So I was wondering if it could be fostering conditions where businesses can grow?
It's possible we could talk through for everyone's feedback. Okay. We're going to take notes of feedback that each council member provides, and this is a draft. So
Sure.
we can definitely talk through as we refine each statement to reflect what each council
Yeah.
member.
It doesn't change the meaning, it just separates the two categories more clearly, it seems. That's all I was looking for.
Feedback, yes.
If I may-
Anyone else?
If I may, Courtney, I may have misspoke to her. I guess where I'm trying to make sure that we're all on the same page and alignment is that if there are questions that you all have or feedback that you have, I think what would be helpful for us is to ensure that there is consensus or support from the majority of the council behind that change, because we want to make sure that we're being due diligent in responding to your feedback and your questions, but we also want to make sure that we're operating under the direction of the majority of the council or the position of the council in supporting to make that. So just wanted to be clear because I wasn't clear with her, so I just wanted to step in and provide that piece.
No, that's perfectly all right, and I would have done the same thing.
Thank you.
Councilmember Trujillo?
Thank you. No, I was just gonna say that would probably be the best approach. And yes, it would take a majority of us to make a decision. So this seems very, high level, and thank you very much for doing this. But I would like to just continue.
Absolutely, and as I just want to reiterate, these were included in your packet, right? Because it wasn't the intent that you would be refining on the dime, right? You need time for reflection. That's why we have additional touch points scheduled with you, and there's an opportunity to kind of go back and forth between that next touch point time. But I wanted you to see, with your direction, where we had evolved to since May, since formalizing the retreat summary, and then showing you at that time the goal categories. This is just an additional what and why that we added to this point, okay? So the next slide shows the remaining 3 goal categories with the associated draft goal category statements. And again, the goal category statements really just define what the goal category means, and the themes support that as well. So, give you time to reflect on that over the next few weeks, but I wanted to just lay that out for you. Next slide, please, Jordan. So then,
Hang on a minute, please.
yes,
Councilor Guardiola?
Thank you. I just want to comment. I mean, I reviewed it in the packet, and I think you guys did a really good job capturing what we said in the retreat on the high level, right? So no, these 6 look good for me.
thank you, sir. Oh, Mayor.
Councilor Sandoval?
Yep, don't forget him.
I just wanted to emphasize the housing for all stages of life, just for the broader community as well, because we've heard the need, attainable, affordable housing, and making sure that everyone has a place to belong. And this is the reason why collectively council had a discussion surrounding this, in that we needed to provide individuals housing in all aspects of their life. And so I wanted to highlight that because I know that there's going to be some pushback on that as we see individual decisions being made. But this is a broader decision that council made, and it hits that point. So I wanted to really emphasize that, so that way the broader community was aware.
Mayor Douglas?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I appreciate that we're going over this. I understand about the draft goal and the category statements. On the cost-cutting themes, I guess that could be expanded as well. And really, when we go out to the public, we need to be able to allow our residents to make comments as well, and add those in. And because it's really, this is supposed to be for the everyone within Commerce City to actually evaluate what is going on, because they are truly who we work for. We can set the stage, like this is the floor. We want to make sure we can bring it to a higher level, like for housing for all stages of life. I think it also should be quality of homes that are built. So, because the biggest impact after a home is built is utilities, and to making sure that all of those homes can retain heat, and then when there's times they're cool, they don't lose the coolness in their homes, their energy efficiency. So I think when it comes to housing for all stages, that needs to be incorporated in there as well. And then I know you already had brought up the other Mayor Pro Tem did. When it comes to environment, we have to make sure, because Commerce City is heavily an industrial portion of our city in the southern area. So we got to make sure when it comes to businesses can grow and innovate, that the innovation is also to make sure they can actually make those adjustments for quality of life. So, but I appreciate where you guys are going. Thank you.
Thank you. And I thank you for bringing up the importance of community engagement, providing this this framework here for residents to give input to. 2 weeks ago, we launched our Zen City platform for the strategic plan. Input from residents that, as of right now, that survey is going to be open until July 1st. And so this gives the residents an opportunity to see what the goal categories are and to provide feedback as to what they understand that we are creating here. That input will help inform the priorities that get drafted and brought back for you to consider. So, Mayor Douglas, the importance of community input is, as you said, very important and is one that we've considered.
Before I go to round 2, does anyone else have comment? All right, Councilmember Trujillo.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. It seems like we're kind of getting a little bit in the weeds here. Obviously, there's still a lot of policy decisions that have to be made around this. This is simply just framework. So thank you again, and I would like to continue with the presentation.
Thank you. We ready to move forward?
Thank you.
All
Yes.
right. Next slide, please, Jordan. So, in setting that stage, the next explanation is really why the refresh, right? The refresh is a positive move forward. Many jurisdictions do this as we're doing. They assess the current state of their strategic plan to ensure that it's living and breathing and continuing to guide an organization forward. They review and they reassess how it's written. And so that's the purpose of our refresh, to solely focus on continuing to gain momentum and action. So the refresh is driven, as I've stated, by data, resident input, and that is gathered from the survey results, operational measures that we've been tracking, and experience, staff experience, what's happening in the field. That's the weed details, the execution of the how, and current service levels. And then extensive collaboration with you as we continue to move through the process, and then as we adopt and we manage, right? Public engagement will continue to be critical, and interdepartmental coordination between all the departments within our operation. So this strategic plan refresh is about streamlining, having this strategy be informed continuously by our budget, clarity for the public, so they're clear on what our priorities are and how we're executing them, and then alignment with, again, the retreat direction that's been provided. This is the intentional evolution that I referenced earlier, to have a cleaner, clearer, more modern strategic approach anchored in what the community needs and what our system can deliver. Next slide, please, Jordan. So herein lies the meat of the strategic plan refresh. The evolution of the current strategic plan into synergistic worlds, where we have a council strategic plan driven with the policy direction, and it identifies the why and the what in the mission and values that we've laid forth, the goal categories, and the eventual priorities that you review, synergized with the city manager's operations plan, which gets into the weeds of the how. It is the execution of all that you've laid forth in the policy direction, that why and the what. This enables the public to clearly understand what your priorities are, and then how that comes up against the execution. So, as you spoke of the canopy, that's into the how. And this, for the first time, this image helps you to kind of see how the refresh will take shape, how it will be different from what we currently have. Like I said before, the council plan becomes the why and the what. It is the policy, it is outward facing, and it guides the community narrative. The city manager's operations plan, this is the how. It is inward facing, and it drives the execution of what direction you've laid out. Public input, staff insight, and budget data consistently inform, as you can see these arrows on both sides, adoption and throughout implementation. This input doesn't stop when the refresh process stops. As we continue forward in managing this plan, these inputs continue to churn. This approach will strengthen governance, clarify the roles between our two worlds, but interconnected worlds, and improve decision-making as we go along. Next slide, please. So, with a refresh comes refresh terminology, right? So with our current plan, we have language such as goal statement, strategy. I'm showing here how that terminology changes in the refresh. Goals become goal categories. Goal statements They're refresh statements that are informed by, again, that retreat conversation. And then strategies become priorities. And those become measurable, time-bound, and actionable within 12 to 24 months, which aligns with our retreat and our budget timeline, so that we are continuously being informed by critical data that drives how we deliver strategically. The details that we currently see in our plan, current strategic plan, the targets and the objectives, then move to the city operations plan. That's the meat of the how that departments know best. So, objectives, again, are going to be sitting in the operations plan. And these distinct worlds, if you go back to the previous slide, help for us to deliver clarity to both the community, you all, and the staff in how we are executing on our priorities. Slide 8, please. The intent of the refresh delivers these outcomes. Clear CIP alignment, stronger engagement signals with internally as well as with the public, faster prioritization trade-offs, right? And so we can see, once we revisit our strategic plan, I provide updates on a regular basis. What do we need to prioritize, trade off, based on what's being brought from residents to us? Streamline policy development. So based on what we've identified as a priority, what has been associated with how we execute it, you can then figure how can we best streamline the development of forthcoming policies that become important. Again, the alignment with the budget becomes critical because that informs what resources we have to execute. And then we continue to focus on laser focus on priority development. So as we move through that time-bound 12 to 24 month window, we see then what next becomes a priority. And you all can talk about that together. So this is the believed realized outcome of a refreshed strategic plan.
May I interrupt for just 1 second? I have been informed that it's very easy to hear us on the dais, that we sound quite loud to the viewers on YouTube or on television, but it is difficult hearing the speaker. So I don't know if there's a way to adjust the audio, balance the audio.
Okay. All right. I can try to speak a little bit louder as well if that will help.
Thank you.
The outcome ultimately is about disciplined focus. And so the refresh offers us a disciplined focus to deliver these outcomes. Next slide, please, Jordan. So for our road to adoption, I mentioned to you we have 3 total touch points with you. In between those touch points are opportunities for us to engage with the community on the strategic plan and gather their input, in addition to the online survey that we are promoting online, as I mentioned. But these white identified public engagements are an opportunity for us to really talk with the community about the strategic plan refresh and our goal categories, and to gain their feedback on the direction that we're moving in. The intent is by September 21 to come before you with the adoption of the new framework, where we have then identified the goal categories, finalized the goal statements, as well as the priorities. Then by January, we will have the operations plan that works in companion, which becomes the fully refreshed strategic plan. This timeline ensures our alignment, the engagement, as I mentioned, and then the discipline at each touch point with you to talk through what the public has provided us feedback on and to inform the next step of the process. Any thoughts, questions there? Next slide, please, Jordan. So tonight really is about affirming, and many of you have, the goal category frames, the themes, and the statements reflective of that retreat direction. Affirming you support the refresh approach and the rationale behind the approach, as I outlined the why, those goal categories and the priorities being the council strategic plan, which solidly defines the policy, and then that how being the objectives shown in the city manager's operations plan. And then finally, showing you next steps. Any additions that you may have under safety, connectivity, beautification, and partnership themes that you want staff to apply between now and July 27th, which is our second touch point with you. Okay.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Let's leave it up here for just a minute, the council guidance needed today. So there is one check mark is for category framing, themes, and draft goal statements, which is what we were talking about earlier. So apparently there is an opportunity now to have that conversation. There's also, do you support the refresh approach and its rationale? And then next steps.
And I'll get into that.
All right. And I would love also to have the email address that people could go to the survey on the strategic plan, so that they can do that while we're having this conversation.
Next page. Yeah, it's on the next slide, so it will come. Yeah.
All right.
That'll be in my next steps talk through with you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the next slide.
All right, then I did just want to make certain that that the health and well-being of the community is environmental health also, and that was a conversation that we were having at the retreat. And that the description that's being used when we also had the very specific conversation about tree canopy, about the fact that there are trees in the south that are going to be dying because of their age, that that made its way onto one of the posters at the end, one of the post-its that we used when we were doing this strategic goal setting. And I didn't see a place for neighborhoods. I did see parks and so on, but I didn't see neighborhoods where we're talking about, you know, trees lining streets and trees at City Hall, trees at recreation centers, just trees in general. That was part of our conversation.
I'll say two things in response to you. Jordan, if you can turn back to the two slides where we outline the goal categories and the goal statements. And yep, we're getting there. There we go. So the cross-cutting themes which support the goal category statements for each goal categories are only highlights of the conversation around these goal statements. So in your healthy, connected, and sustainable environment, the council retreat theme and discussion was including environmental well-being, parks, recreation, community amenities, beautification, air, water quality, tree canopy, community well-being, partnerships, health, walkability, access to amenities. So these may show up in your priorities.
Okay.
Okay.
So is this a living document or is it a fixed document?
The council strategic plan?
Yes,
will
what
be
you're looking at, draft goal categories. is it a living document or is it a fixed
It'll
document?
be a living document. If you recall, I mentioned the 12 to 24-month window. So it will be living within that time frame.
Oh, living in terms of changes can be made and so forth, or is it fixed?
Well, it's fixed until we revisit after the 12 and 24-month period, between the 12 and 24-month period.
Okay, and then my final question is about the Parks, Recreation, and Golf Master Plan, the Transportation Master Plan, and the Comprehensive Plan.
Okay.
How do we merge all of these with your model?
Well,
Because those are all things that the community asked for.
right. Those important documents will inform how we identify what our objectives will be. Again, that how, right? They will inform that, as well as inform how we shape the priorities to be.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Sandoval.
Thank you for putting this information together. I guess right now, I just want to reemphasize, we are not going into the nitty-gritty. We are going into the goal categories. We were all at the retreat. We already discussed these things. It was prefaced at the beginning of this conversation. So I want to reemphasize, we are not breaking it apart. We have the images that we all took of our goals. And I'm looking at the image, and environmental safety, air quality, water quality were all points that were touched on. That's all. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, I think Mayor Douglas's hand is up.
Yeah. Councilmember Trujillo.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Deputy City Manager Brown. This was a great presentation, and just want to express my appreciation for the way you captured everything from our council retreat and the thoughtfulness behind how you prepared this. So thank you. I do, to answer your question, I do support the refresh approach and the rationale behind it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Douglas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Deputy City Manager Courtney Brown, for bringing this forward. And just so council know, not getting into weeds, just making sure things are this is a time when these are the touch points where you do add in value. And yes, they were highlighted. We're just making sure they don't get lost in the shuffle. And so this is the point that become public information. So I appreciate you bringing this up, because it really is another highlight and opportunity for our community to engage. I see several different times. And now it said financial planning town hall. Is that with these with our citizens, or is this with council?
With our residents,
Okay.
the
All
long-term
right.
financial planning.
Thank
town
you.
halls.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Guardiola.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Temp. I'm good to go with this. Thank you for doing all the hard work and capturing our statements from the retreat. I'm excited, this is super informational. And I love the diagram on page 6, right? On how it really connects everything for us. And I'm excited to see the how, right? Because I think that's where we'll see a lot of the outcomes and our residents will see. So to answer your question, I'm good to go with it. Thank you.
I appreciate that. For the geek that finds graphics very helpful, you've won my heart with liking that graphic. Thank you.
It's cool, man. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Kim.
Just want to say I appreciate the excellent presentation today and the fact that with regards to outlining the 6 strategic goals, which does provide that clear and cohesive path for our city's future. And to Councilmember Trujillo's point as well, I am okay with the refresh as it stands.
Thank you.
Councilmember Young.
Thank you for all of your hard work putting this information. It can't be easy taking 9 people's great big ideas about our city and distilling them down. And so I think you did a really good job capturing really the high points and the big issues that we hear from our constituents, that we all see as big concerns. And I think you've done a really good job categorizing the things that we talked about. I also really appreciate the graphic. It took me a minute, but then it really clicked for me that, the upper triangle those are our goals, that's our strategy, and the lower triangle is the how. That's really the operational part that we set forth a goal and a vision, and the city manager directs the staff to really understand the how. And so I think you did a really good job with visuals in general, helping us understand our lane, the city council lane, and the staff lane, and how we all work together to come to some of these hard decisions that we have to make, because leading is all about choices. We want to make the right choices. And so because of all of that, I do support the rationale behind the refresh. I really appreciate the kind of change in language for us so that we can also follow suit with that language and be thinking in a slightly different way about our strategic plans. So thank you so much. You've done a great job, all of you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And it's how we begin to speak to the residents and to one another about what we're doing strategically every day, simplifies that language. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And can you tell me what is the feedback that you will be seeking from the community at these various events?
So what we've asked them thus far through the survey, how are we doing in these goal areas? What is your thought process of what we could be doing better with? And we provide them, if they go online, we provide them a link directly to some of the city pages that support some of the programs within those goal category areas. So if they're curious about community well-being or those related programs, we have a page that directs them there. And so we ask them to give their feedback, type that feedback out, and then that comes back to our team, and we synthesize that, and I'll bring it back to you so you can collectively see what the community is saying on each goal category, about each goal category.
Okay, so that is slightly different than what the mayor was talking about in terms of having people weigh in on the various goals. They're not weighing in on the goals, they're weighing in on how the goals are being achieved in this current time.
Well, they're weighing in on the goal categories as we've shaped them, as you all have agreed upon them to be. So not different from what Mayor Douglas has asked. I'm kind of not tracking what your distinction is.
The distinction for me was that he was asking if they were going to weigh in on the language in the goals, in the goal categories.
Yes.
They will be?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
I didn't hear that in the description.
Yes, that's what's been outlined in the survey.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You had next steps?
I do have next steps. Are we done here? Okay. So the next steps, our work between now and July includes continuing the refresh refinement. So that's building the draft priorities and the parallel work that needs to happen on the operations side as well, as it relates to identifying squarely what our objectives will be, aligning along CIP and budget, and advancing engagement. So it's collecting all of that input that's coming to us at these touch points and through the survey. As I said, the online survey remains open through July 1st, which will inform the July touch point draft that I have and bring back before you with the priorities. And there below is that address to the survey that you asked for, c3gov.com/speakup. Residents are able to go there and give us their feedback on the goal categories.
Thank you. Excellent.
You're welcome.
I have another comment. Councilmember Guardiola.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just want to remind the public also that we shared it on social media a couple days ago, and they could go on all our social medias to see the post about what do you think, ¿Qué piensas? And it's about the refresh. So again, just wanted to throw it out there. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you. And we bought flyers this evening to help promote the survey. That flyer will also be promoted online as well. It's also in Spanish. And so we have 3. Can you speak to that, Jordan?
Yep, actually, Councilmember Guardiola, thank you very much for bringing that up. So we have done a round of social media posts on May 29th. We did another one on June 12th, and then we'll do another one at the end of June. Yep. So we'll have 3 major social media blasts that go across the entire city's platforms: Facebook, X, Instagram, LinkedIn, as well as Nextdoor.
So for me, the largest takeaway from this evening's presentation is about a disciplined approach creates focus. And I believe that the strategic plan refresh delivers that focus. Focus creates results, and this framework is built to deliver both things. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, we move now to our public hearing. We have one public hearing tonight. If you are waiting online, PUDA 25-0003 has been postponed to a future date. There will not be a hearing on PUDA 25-0003 this evening. Resolution 2026-045, a resolution establishing board makeup terms and term limits for commissioners of the Commerce City Housing Authority Board. And I will remind council of the following: only ask questions and gather facts, but not express opinions or indicate how you will vote. You're not permitted to provide testimony. If you wish to participate in the decision, only rely on facts developed in this hearing and in this record. You are actually allowed to indicate how you will vote when it comes time to vote, but not during the portion where you're asking questions. All right. I will invite the city attorney to address council.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Is there any council member who cannot hear this matter and make a determination fairly and impartially based on the record before you and the facts and evidence as developed at the public hearing? Let the record reflect that no member of council has shown an inability to be fair and impartial. Thank you.
All right. I will now open the public hearing. Do any council members have questions for staff? Is there any public comment this evening?
Mayor Pro Tem, nobody has signed up online or in person to speak on this item.
All righty. Okay.
And Mayor Pro Tem, if you may, I can just remind council, we have 2 separate resolutions available for council's consideration on this matter. I did send an email about this several weeks ago. As a reminder for everyone, one resolution clarifies that we are expanding the membership of the board members on the CCHA to include 1 additional member. That way there is an odd number of voting members. As well as clarifying that the council-appointed council member on the CCHA will no longer have a voting right. The second resolution simply clarifies that the council-appointed council member on the CCHA board no longer has a voting right, but does not increase the number of voting members. So that would mean they have an even number of members if you chose to go that route. Also for clarification, the reason why this is a hearing technically is because under the state statute, it requires an opportunity for a hearing, and that is largely to allow members of the public to provide public comment to you as the decision makers on their thoughts, concerns, et cetera, about establishing a CCHA board and amending the board numbers. That is it. Thank you.
Any questions from anyone? Could someone please explain why we are increasing the terms of the members? And secondly, there have not been any applicants to the board in my recent memory. I haven't served on the Boards and Commissions Committee recently, but I did previously, and there were no applications for 2 years. So I am curious as to why no one's term ever ended when we had approved term limits of 3 years.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'll try to answer that. We have had a couple of recent applications that have come through. We're monitoring as best we can. I don't know the history on the appointments. I apologize for that, but I'd be happy to get that information out to you all as to when the current members were appointed and for how long they've been there.
That would be good. The last time we had the board in these chambers was probably 4 years ago, and at that time, all of the board members had served even as long as 10 years. So until I have an answer to that question, I personally am not able to vote on this item because it's very confusing to me why and who is in charge here. Because we don't know who is keeping track of when these terms expire in order to have a refreshed Housing Authority Board. Does anyone does the city attorney or the city manager have an idea?
I do not. I can just clarify that the term limit is originally established under the Colorado Revised Statute that clarifies that the term of office for commissioners shall be set by a council resolution and shall not exceed 5 years in length. The state statute does not talk about how many terms an individual may serve. It just simply states that a term cannot exceed 5 years. That is what was originally adopted by way of council for the CCHA. Subsequently, City Council established new terms for commissioners under Resolution 7913. Sorry, that was the original one, and then subsequently changed terms when it approved Resolution 7915. In 2022, City Council modified the terms of office for members to 3-year terms and also clarified that members shall serve no more than 2 consecutive terms or until a successor had been appointed. So that was the first time, in my understanding, that there was a limitation clarified by resolution of how many consecutive terms a Housing Authority Board member may serve. And then now with the resolution before you, it's clarifying that the terms from 3 years would be moved back up to 4-year terms. Again, state statute limits it at a 5-year term. This resolution would allow for a 4-year term with no more than 2 consecutive terms and a 1-year waiting period to reapply after serving those 2-year terms. So there would be a waiting period after serving 2 terms. But hopefully that answers your fundamental question, which is originally there was not a limitation on how many consecutive terms one may hold.
Yes, I understand that. I was trying to clarify on the change that the city council made, and that was in 2022.
Got it.
Thank you. All right, any other questions or comments from this hearing? All right, in that case, I will close the public hearing. I need a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026. By either motion, option 1 or option 2. So someone needs to speak specifically to what they are making a motion to adopt. Councilmember Teeter?
I move for approval of Resolution 2026-045. Council is seated, going with resolution, staff recommendation, number 1.
Thank you. And Councilmember Trujillo? Are you the second, Councilmember Trujillo? All right, I'll move to Councilmember Kim. I'm sorry, what is happening here, please?
We have 2 options.
You need the microphone, please.
Option 1, that was the motion. I think we're still waiting for a second, but just to clarify, option 1 that the motion maker is supporting clarifies that the CCHA shall hereinafter consist of 6 board members. The council member appointee role on the Housing Board shall be a non-voting member, and the remaining 5 members shall be voting members.
And that was option 1.
Correct.
Correct. Right. So yeah, I will second that motion.
All right. Is there any debate? Councilmember Trujillo, did you have any comment?
Yes, I do. I do have a comment. Just want to take a moment to share a message of gratitude from the Housing Authority. They're truly thankful for the support of the city in helping them get reestablished during what was a significant transition for them from the city. The executive director was not able to be here this evening, but she did ask me to personally convey her appreciation. And I'll add my own. I'm genuinely excited about what's ahead and look forward to deepening our partnership with the Housing Authority and all of the work that we will do together as partners for the residents. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else have a comment? I will be voting no. I am distressed at the number of changes and the fact that changes are not, that the city council makes changes and they have not been followed as far as I can tell. Without having information that speaks to professionalism, I am unable to support this change. Thank you.
Mayor Douglas has his hand raised.
Mayor Douglas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I will be voting no on this as well because I think it's too early to make any changes. I mean, the board members who were just appointed to this board hasn't even been 1 year. And last couple of years, they had so many cancellations for their meetings. And it's just very disruptive. So I think there needs to be a better transition than what's being proposed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Resolution 2026-045, a resolution establishing board makeup, terms, and term limits for commissioners of the Commerce City Housing Authority Board. The vote is open. And Mayor Douglas, if I could get your vote, please.
Sure. No. Thank you.
Thank you.
The resolution passes. The vote is 7-2. This consent agenda includes items that are routine, procedural, informational, self-explanatory, or non-controversial. These items are presented to council for a single motion and vote. However, any member of council may ask to remove a specific item off the consent agenda for further discussion and a separate vote. Tonight, there are 10 items on the consent agenda. Do any council members wish to remove an item? No. All right, I am removing 3. 2026-065, 2026-069, and 2026-080. All right, I need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Can you say those once again? Sorry.
Councilmember Kim?
Can you repeat the three that you were removing again, please?
Sure. 065, 069, and 080.
Copy that, and I will make that motion to approve the amended consent agenda items.
All right, that's an amendment. And do I have a second, please? Councilmember Teeter.
Second.
Thank you. All right, will the city clerk read the titles and take a roll call vote?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Minutes 26-116, minutes of the April 20th, 26 regular meeting. Minutes 26-114, minutes of the June 1st, 2026 regular meeting. Minutes 26-115, minutes of the May 18th, 2026 regular meeting. Proclamation 26-021, a proclamation declaring July 2026 as National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month in Commerce City, Colorado. Proclamation 26-022, a proclamation declaring June 19th, 2026 Juneteenth in Commerce City, Colorado. Proclamation 26-023, a proclamation declaring July 2026 as Parks and Recreation Month in Commerce City, Colorado. And Resolution 2026-088, a resolution appointing members to designated boards and commissions of Commerce City. Your vote is now open. And Mayor Douglas, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. The vote is unanimous. And I would like to make note of the fact that I have actually been calling the wrong vote. I've been calling the vote as if there were 9 people. In fact, there are only 8 this evening. So we'll fix that, right?
Yes, we will have it well documented in the minutes.
All righty, thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, Resolution 065-2026-065 is a resolution granting a license and intergovernmental agreement to Adams County for the Colorado Local Clean Entity and network sensors to be located on city property. There are 2 of these on city property at this time, and the third one will be at Anythink Library. And so my question is for City Manager Rogers. Have we paid for this previously? Have we paid for maintenance previously?
No, ma'am, these were covered under a previous grant.
All right, and the reason that I'm bringing this up, it is not that it's about that much money. It is, I'm bringing it up because to date, as far as I can tell, Adams County has received nearly $20 million from Senate Bill 23280. That money was authorized for, on a percentage basis, to communities that have fuel supply depots. Adams County has 64% of the fuel distributed from the county, but that fuel is being distributed from Commerce City. We have 5 fuel supply depots in Commerce City, and the 6th fuel supply depot is in DuPont. And so my belief is, in DuPont, we surround DuPont on all 4 sides. So my belief is that Adams County should be covering the costs of these air quality monitors since they are receiving the $6.4 million allocated annually from the Fuel Impact Enterprise Fund. So that is why I pulled this resolution for the staff to go back to Adams County and suggest that it is an expense for the county because they are receiving $6.4 million a year for the fuel supply depots that are in Adams County, in particular in Commerce City. Does anybody have any comment? All right. So I will make a motion to authorize staff to return to Adams County to renegotiate the agreement for the Clean Entity Air Network sensors to be located on city property. Is there a second?
Point of order. I don't believe that we have a motion in front of us that was just pulled off of, an item that was pulled off of the consent agenda. So I'm a little confused here as the direction we're going in.
So as far as the point of order, I think what I just heard from the Mayor Pro Tem is a motion, which effectively would be a motion to continue this resolution to allow city staff to then go have subsequent conversations with the county to potentially amend or modify the terms of the IGA and bring it back to council. So I would take that as a motion to continue this item to a future council date to allow that conversation to transpire if that's what council wants to do.
Okay. That's my motion then. But nevertheless, I still need a second. Mayor Douglas?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All right, we have a first and a second on this motion. So we will take a roll call vote.
What about discussion?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry I asked earlier. I will ask again. I'm happy to have discussion. I need a hand up. Councilor Guardiola.
Thank you. I guess to the city manager, is there a timeline that we have to pay these? How is that going to affect if we go back to Adams County and ask? Is there any insight you have talked to them about them paying for these?
The intergovernmental agreement outlines the identified payment schedule. I'd have to pull that up, which is broken across the totality of a 5-year period, I believe around $4,000 some odd dollars. Whether it's biannual or annual is, I think, the aspect. I think we can always go have a conversation whether or not that will change the contractual arrangement that they have, not just with us, with other municipalities that will have these sensors, and whether or not they are applying this in an equitable fashion about the deployment will obviously be the key matter. But I can't say at this time specifically whether or not there will be a delay in the continued collection of information and data. I don't suspect that there could be, but once again, I wouldn't have that information until we had that conversation.
Okay, thank you.
The air quality monitors measure particulate matter at 2.5 and at 10. The air quality monitors do not measure ozone, they don't measure benzene, they don't measure any of the toxic chemicals, they just measure particulate matter, for the record. Anyone else? All right, roll call vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. On the continuance, the vote is open. And Mayor Douglas, please.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the motion passes 5-3. Thank you. Moving to the next one, Resolution 2026-069. This is a resolution finding substantial compliance of the annexation petition in case AN 26-0001, known as the Moreno Salas annexation, and setting a public hearing to determine eligibility for such annexation. This is another one of these first reading motions that are on the consent calendar. And could you explain how this is divided down? Because it appears that we're agreeing that there is substantial compliance by approving this, and yet we still have to determine eligibility for such annexation.
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm going to try to explain this. It is a bit confusing, and the reason why this resolution says finding of substantial compliance while also setting a public hearing date, is because of state statute provision 3112-107 and then 3112-108. 3112-107 is the petition requirements for an applicant to submit to a municipality in instances where they are interested in coming or joining a municipality. So the finding of substantial compliance is simply for the municipality, so you all, to make the determination that the petition itself is substantially meeting the compliance requirements under state statute to fill out the factual information to have an appropriate petition that is distinguishable from a hearing on the actual annexation, which is established under the Land Development Code. So again, under state statute, there's a petition form that's required of an applicant. You all are being asked to make a determination that that petition has been filled out correctly. It is substantially complying with the requirements under state statute. And then also, because the state statute requires you all to establish a hearing, you're doing that also in this resolution, which is required under state statute. You might have more to provide.
Right. As you may be familiar, it is a three-step process, as Mr. Zarzaki had outlined. The first step is this, and then the third step would be the actual hearing where the annexation is either voted up or down.
Okay, and typically, the city council would not debate the first step, which is finding substantial compliance of the annexation petition?
Correct. If there were an issue, we would point it out in the staff report. But staff did not see, this is a fairly standard application. It appears complete to staff. We did not identify any issues with it.
All right, thank you very much. And this won't come back to us as if it's a second, will it come back to us as if it's a second reading?
No, it will come back to you in these three parts, so you will hear this again. We don't know the exact schedule just yet, but you will see this 2 more times.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It is around the transparency issue, and it just helps to clarify. Thank you very kindly.
Thank you.
All right. So do I have a motion in support of Resolution 2026-069? Councilmember Kim?
Yes, I move to approve Resolution 2026-069 as seated.
All right, Councilmember Teeter.
Second.
Thank you. Will you have a roll call vote, please? Thank you, City Clerk.
Yes, thanks, Mayor Pro Tem. I will read the title of the item and do a roll call vote.
Thank you.
Resolution 2026-069, a resolution finding substantial compliance of the annexation petition in case AN 26-0001, known as the Moreno Salas annexation, and setting a public hearing to determine eligibility for such annexation. And the vote is now open. And Mayor Douglas, if I could get your vote, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The vote is unanimous with one absence. All right, moving on now to Resolution 2026-080. This is about establishing expedited review policies for affordable housing projects. But what jumped out at me is that these approvals are to be fast-tracked in 90 days. And so my question was, what is the role of the City Council in affordable housing project approvals or denials, and is it only administratively approved or denied?
Great question. I appreciate that, ma'am. If the use, once again, if housing is allowed under the zone district, then council would not have a role in the review of an application that is associated with affordable housing. That would be determined as an administrative use, an administrative review, given the provision of allowing it by right. So, yeah.
All right, then my second question to you is my concern for metro districts. And if any of these affordable housing projects are brought forward by a nonprofit, which they often are, a nonprofit development firm, then would they not have to pay mills or metro district fees if they are approved administratively?
Another great question, and I think that's one that's not, there's no connection to the affordable housing in the metro district. And the reason why I say that is because what we're talking here is about the land use. We're not talking about the financial component or the financial impact that it may pertain to a quasi-public entity. So what's before you is the regulatory requirement of us complying with the entitlement process established or identified by the state. Once again, the metro districts and the provisional allowance of affordable housing and or requirement for some stipulated condition for their obligation to make tax payments or payment in lieu of taxes would be more appropriate under a metro district discussion, not a entitlement discussion.
I guess, and I apologize for not having this question pop into my mind earlier when I was speaking with you about this, but it did just come to mind. And that I think is my concern about the 90-day fast track, is that our comprehensive plan has a neighborhood swath, giant neighborhood swath in orange, and allowed in that is everything from single family to multifamily. So if a affordable housing project that is sponsored by a nonprofit, which doesn't have to pay property taxes, does not have to pay mills, but becomes part of this 90-day fast track, then the project could end up in one of our metro districts, and the existing residents would be paying extra fees because this project does not have to pay any.
and while I appreciate that position, that's not going to be a factor of staff's review. Once again, Metro District regulations, ordinance, and/or provisions live under a separate title of our municipal code. Land use regulations, which pertain to an allowable use by right, conditional, and/or required to go through a quasi-judicial process in front of the city council, that being a rezone application per se, to entertain the allowance of residential. Now, when we think about land use, so let's take a step back. When we think about land use is defined in the construct that you made reference of: single-family attached, single-family detached, multifamily. We do not assign whether it's attainable, market rate, or affordable. That is a designation that is defined by the business operations and/or the development operations of said applicant, who in which the state has given an additional allowance for a period of time to have its application reviewed from a land use perspective. So we are simply demonstrating our compliance to that land use of enacting or recognizing, even though our practice has been 21, 15, and 7 days, we are simply acknowledging and recognizing the state's standard of coming into compliance with review of that for our administrative applications, which has already made that determination that residential, regardless of its type, affordable market rate, is an allowable use. So you all have already made a determination that residential in its various forms, regardless of its price point or attainability or affordability, is an allowable and can move forward through that administrative process. So there's no real distinction or question about its impacts, because those impacts have already been analyzed and assessed under Title 21 of our Land Development Code.
Under administrative review, there isn't an opportunity for public comment or a land use hearing. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So there would be no opportunity for anyone who might be impacted by this decision on the part of staff to have a say in how it will affect them monetarily then?
And I would say that we would obviously want to ensure there's a level of sensitivity, because obviously you don't, so just responding more directly to that, I don't think we would want to entertain a debate around fair housing of, well, it's okay because it's market rate versus it's not okay because it's affordable. That would be problematic.
That would be problematic, and I didn't mean to infer that. I was talking about nonprofits that don't have to pay taxes, don't have to pay mills in a metro district.
And I go back to, I think, the appropriateness of how you would want to position those type of scenarios would be best situated under a metro district discussion and not a land use entitlement, because the service plan, which enumerates the various terms, conditions, and/or obligations based on the types of public improvements and/or development scenarios, was where you would want to capture that, not necessarily in a land use application where there are no findings or criteria that are associated with the payment of taxes and the impacts of that with respect to the type of housing, right? We get into impacts of transportation, physical land use, impacts to water, and the like. So that's where I would say, I'm not saying that your question is a bad question. It's more better situated when discussing around the metro district and whether or not there are additional reforms and/or discussions around that you would like to see, and how that could then be capitalized within any updates to that title.
Councilmember Sandoval?
I think, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I think you bring up a really good question, and I understand. So I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to figure out the best words and how to word this. So and forgive me if I don't explain it properly, I will try my best. So because if we vote yes and it allows for the city to be able to administratively approve the land use entitlement, however, the Metro District issue is separate, but who would essentially take into consideration that piece of the consequence, quote unquote, the consequence or the effect that it would have? Because if the city approves it, then the Metro District would essentially have to absorb that, and they can discuss it, but they can't rebuttal it, or they don't have a say. Is that, can you clarify on that?
Yeah, appreciate that. So taking a step back, what we're talking about here is timeline. We're not talking about the permissibility of the use. We're talking about the timeline of a use that has already been determined and deemed to be permissible under the various zoning, whether it is straight zoning or by PUD. So what we are simply agreeing to is an established timeline that effectively the state has determined to be the most advantageous for this product, for this product. So and why I say it like that is, we're not debating if this is a binary yes or no, because ultimately, if it's going through our development review process, we're working towards yes. It's just along that period of time, we're working along yes within established timelines, which I believe are working in other aspects of the state. Why that's important is there's some level of acceptance that by allowing that residential, the Metro District is going to, if already established, is going to accept that or have the ability to seek a substantial modification to its service plan to have a contemplation on how to address that payment in lieu of taxes that would ultimately come back before the city council. So what I'm talking about is a couple of things, couple of paths here. The Metro District could always elect to change its service plan to contemplate how to address this, which I would believe they would then do in partnership with that entity to ensure the longevity of collection of what's now not being collected in taxes, but in a different format. Council can look at this more proactively and looking at it in the near, short-term, and long-term future by changing its ordinance and regulations for any future Metro districts. So, so once again, we're talking about time and timeline, not necessarily permissibility. Metro District is talking about its the Metro District discussion would be one that would be entertained by the district itself with that property owner to, move forward or advance any substantial modification, or the council could look at going forward in the future. There's no ability for the council in any condition today with the Metro districts that we have established to unwind that service plan unless there was an election by that district to do so in partnership. Or, like I said, to enter into a private agreement between the two and being able to seek that payment in lieu of taxes. Like I said, there's a couple of, there's more granular details with this with respect to Metro District discussion than it is to the land use discussion before you today. Like I said, there is no connection between the two.
Excuse me for a minute. Could someone please correct the screen for the item that we're on? Thank you.
If I may say this, your yes or no comes down to this effect. If you all do not move forward with it, right, then it will, in effect, remove Commerce City from being able to receive funding in $1, $2, $3. The city's existing process is 21 days, 15 days, 7 days. And if we're unable to meet that, then there is the ability to seek extensions. Now, we can only control what we can from our review, but that is our standardized review of administrative applications. So what we're simply highlighting here is we're going to make sure that affordable housing projects, which the state has defined to 90-day max, we're already doing 21, 15, 7. That's 44 days, give or take, obviously with high quality responses coming from the private development community. So we're simply acknowledging we're going to follow our process. That we're going to follow our process. And we will hold ourselves to this process regardless. But we're already doing that. We're simply publicly announcing that we're going to do this. That gives DOLA confidence that this is our standard. So nothing is actually changing outside of we're acknowledging publicly that this is our standard, and we will continue to meet our standard.
Even though your time is up, Councilmember Sandoval, did you have another comment?
Yes.
Because my time wasn't timed.
Sorry.
I got away with a lot of time.
Do you want to take another question? Okay. So as
I
of right,
wasn't on the clock.
as of right now, what you're saying is because we haven't publicly declared our process of 90 days, that we don't currently receive 1, 2, 3 funding?
No. DOLA has requested that we take this form of action, even though we have policy in place that talks about 21, 15, and 7. They wanted a formative action of recognition beyond the operative policy that we have for the review of applications, so that there is confidence that we are going to hold ourselves to that standard. So once again, there's nothing under the LDC that speaks to the 90 days or to the 21, 15, or 7. Once again, that is an operational policy that the Community Development Department implements and administers. DOLA just wants that to be acknowledged by the organization broadly, so that they can be able to say, yes, Commerce City has met its checklist. And that is why we are before you today.
Thank
A
you.
simple recognition of our existing process that is in compliance with the 90 days. I get the questions about the Metro District. I think it's a worthwhile conversation around the Metro Districts, just not appropriate for the conversation that's before you tonight.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have comment before I go to second round? Okay, so my concern wasn't about a metro district, it was about the homeowners in a metro district having an additional burden because the bonds can't be paid off, utilizing other construction that's going on in the area. That's where I see the challenge. And the fact that there is no room in this 90 days for public hearings or transparency, that it's all administrative review, makes it very difficult for me to support it. In fact, I would have to vote no. That doesn't mean that I won't be in the minority, but I just can't support that kind of thing at this point in time.
Mayor Pro Tem, please help me understand, if the use is already allowed by zoning and has been identified that is allowed by zoning and is able to move through the administrative process, how the process is any different previously, today, or going forward in the future about having a hearing on housing? Housing, it's just housing.
I understand. So In 2019, I wasn't on city council yet. I was in the audience and I watched the residents of Foxton Village, along with their Metro District Director, who were here in these chambers. There are council members who were serving at the time on this council right now, who were very distraught because a very large complex was built within their Metro District boundaries. And because it was a nonprofit facility, all of that land was now removed from having to contribute to reducing the bond. So if the folks in the state legislature didn't care about this kind of thing, that's up to them. But it does matter to me because I only represent Metro districts. That's all I represent in Ward 4. So it is something that I'm not comfortable with because I saw what happened and I know what the burden is and I know the people who had to move out of Foxton Village because they couldn't afford the increase. They happened to live in affordable homes in Foxton Village and found themselves unable to stay because they couldn't afford the additional burden of having to pay off the bond.
That's helpful, and I think it's a worthwhile conversation to really dive underneath the hood and how to best approach that to where we are keeping the bright line of the necessary approval criteria and the analysis to be able to apply those particular conditions or obligations to ensure the successful implementation of a financial plan that's been contemplated. And how our code is currently structured is where you would find where we can really dive into that would be Title 13. And where we are really thinking about the land use implications of housing in general, whether you're affordable or market, right? You're looking at the person who's living in that's got a car or is going to have a draw on certain services that the city provides. So how are we mitigating the impacts that it will be on the city itself? And by keeping those bright lines and being able to really dive into those details, which, like I said, I'm not arguing your position. I think it's a well-stated one. And I think one that maybe your colleagues would be willing to take up is how to capture that, unfortunately, for those going forward, because once again, with a Metro District already established, we can't go unwind that or turn back that clock. There may then be some interest, though, in those Metro Districts that see this work being done that may want to elect to come in and to update their service plan accordingly, because this gives them the protections from that financial plan. So I just wanted to be able to understand that. I appreciate that. And I think it's a conversation worth having, having that we can frame with the right resources for you all in that discussion.
So just for the record, not all items on the consent agenda are routine, self-explanatory, or non-controversial. So just want to make that point. All right, I'm done. I will entertain a motion. Councilmember Teeter?
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-080 as submitted.
Thank you. Councilmember Kim?
While I appreciate everything that Mr. Rogers has said, I will second that, but also would like to have the further discussion later.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Kim. All right. Will the city clerk read the title and take a roll call vote? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Resolution 2026-080, a resolution establishing expedited review policies for affordable housing projects. The vote is now open. And Mayor Douglas, please.
No.
Thank you.
All right, the vote is 6-2. The motion passes. Thank you. We now move to Administrative Council business, a full 2 hours before it was estimated on our agenda. Does anyone have Administrative Council business? All right, I have Administrative Council business. City Manager Rogers, I thought that one of our public speakers had interesting questions about the Flock contract. I think he had a couple, and then I have one too. So my question about the Flock contract is, he wanted to know, has it been signed and can it be changed?
Great question. On the night of April 6th, when you all took final action, I can't remember when, but shortly thereafter, given that this is seeking use of city assets, it requires the mayor's signature on it. So yes, it is a final contract. It has been signed by the mayor on behest of the direction from the council. Any modification would require, and I'm gonna look to my left to the city attorney to correct me if I'm wrong, for a couple of things. Are there any deficiencies within the contract that the council believes needs to be renegotiated? I believe obviously there would have to be some review of that to determine whether or not that's an accurate finding. Two, if there's additional provisions or obligations, conditions that you all would like to see, then obviously we would have to be directed by the council to re-engage with Flock to negotiate an amendment. Once again, they would have to be a willing participant to determine whether or not that is something that they would want to entertain.
All right, and what about then guardrails? What internal guardrails are in place?
We have a number of different policies within Lexipol. Lexipol are the administrative policies that are effectuated by the PD department on the various operational uses of our technology. So for our automated license plate readers, for our video surveillance camera system, drones, for body-worn cameras and the like. So we have 9 safeguard policies that are of the best practice and standard on how to apply those technologies in the field.
Okay, and could we see those?
You as council could see those. I would say if a resident wants those, they should go through a CORA request.
Okay, that would be great if we could. And when and where will the cameras be installed, the citywide cameras?
I can't give you that answer, ma'am. On demand, we'd have to get that information to you.
Okay, because it's just something you don't know off the top of your head.
No, ma'am.
Okay, next meeting then. Thank you very much. All right, Councilor Guardiola?
Thank you. I just want to put it out in the public that working with Together Colorado and Our Lady Mother Church, those residents actually submitted a lot of good feedback for the contract with guardrails. And just hearing that other residents kind of disregard the work that some community members in the core city have done is a little disturbing to me, because we're dismissing that these folks in the core don't care about Flock. And they're actually, and I quote the priest, that they're not anti-Flock. They submitted a policy memo to city management, myself, and city attorney, and did some research. We are still working on a universal policy data sharing also with this group. So again, I think sometimes we often just hear some voices, but not the others, or we choose not to hear other voices for whatever reason. So I want to just thank staff and city manager and city attorney for really looking into the policy memo that Together Colorado and the Our Lady Mother Church parishioners provided for guardrails on the contract. The contract was public. They reviewed it. They annotated a lot of it. So it's been out there. So again, I just want to, I hear the concerns from both sides, but we can't dismiss that there's work going on right now with the flock. Thank you.
And I appreciate that, Councilmember Gordillo, and I appreciate you reaching out, sharing information, asking questions on behalf of your constituents. We provided, obviously, we've had a conversation around this very question about the policies that I shared tonight. I think that's also important is that there was discussion about a transparency portal that is being worked on. The implementation of that obviously will coordinate with when the actual expansion of Flock actually moves into its next stage. And then there was the request for annual reporting. We are actually doing quarterly reporting in the next report about where Flock has been with our existing contract, and what we had assumed was going to be at a time of our expansion also being implemented is in September when the chief comes back before you all with his crime report. So we've had this conversation more broadly around policies in the past, and it continues to come up. And I continue to answer any questions that any council member who's willing to pick up the phone and make that call to me, I will have that conversation and conduct that due diligence within the respected timeframes that are established in council policies. So I welcome those questions if you have them. But I would say the sharing of materials has always been with our public. They can always go through a core request if they want to dive into that due diligence, which some entities have done, and we have responded and provided to them. So just wanted to provide that clarification, and thanks for sharing the conversation we've had.
Can I just, point of order, point of information. When you say contract, Councilmember Guardiola, I think that's what's confusing me. Are you asking for guardrails, or are you asking for changes to the actual contract?
So they reviewed the 67-page contract before it was signed and sent feedback to the city staff. They quarreled and got different, the data sharing policies, denying that city manager. So yeah, the contract's been out there and they submitted some feedback.
Right, the contract was public. It was part of the public record when we had the meeting, but I'm understanding that the contract was signed on April 6th or something, early April. And so are we talking about a new system of policies around it? Are you talking about changing the contract?
No, man, I think you're mixing.
Yeah, we met.
That's what I'm trying to get clarity on.
We met with this group February, March, and they submitted feedback to the original contract.
Right, but the contract is signed, the language is.
Correct.
Correct. That group has followed up with additional questions. I have been open to sharing what we have again on the books, but also highlighting during the public hearing process what was discussed openly between council and staff's commitment to reporting, to transparency portal, and recommitting, or not committing, but affirming the policies that we have had in place around the different technologies that we use that range from automated license plate readers to drones to video surveillance systems to body-worn cameras. So we have the provisions of different policies that are already in place. So I think what they were looking at was to re-educate themselves on what we have and to ensure that those continue to remain in place. And they do, because we are making use of those technologies, and those policies guide the appropriate usage, actions, and response to the request of that operation for us at the staff level. So there is no change of the contract. There's no change of the policies that we have in place, because they're already broad encompassing to what the community has asked before it got to the mayor's signature on April 6th based on council's action to approve the contract.
All right, so it's not currently in motion. It is done.
The contract.
Yeah.
The contract is signed and sealed.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. Councilmember, oh, sorry, are you finished? Councilmember Kim?
I will say this, I do agree with a lot of what the other council members believe as far as what Flock is concerned. You know, I've done my due diligence, just as everyone else has done too, asked the most questions that was needed out there. But officially, you know, for me, this is democracy in action. Allow it to happen, allow the process to go through. I encourage people to sign the petition if they want to sign the petition, whatever the case is. But I also would encourage them to review, to reach out, to look at the real-time crime center, to actually reach out and talk to the city manager, reach out to basically get educated themselves. Just because other cities are responding a certain way doesn't mean our city has responded that way either. So, but again, I think just to officially state, to put it out there for myself, you know, if they have a petition going, by all means, if anybody wants to sign it, go for it. Obviously, we probably will have certain guardrails around ourselves, but I mean, again, this is all part of democracy, and that is currently in action moving forward. So it is what it is.
Councilmember Sandoval.
Surrounding the Flock conversation, we've heard it from multiple individuals that are the same individuals that show up and berate us for the decision that we made, both in line with protecting our community, but also just putting misinformation out there. What I would say to the community is, one, educate yourself. Do not allow somebody to feed you information. Educate yourself on the differences between what Commerce City has done in comparison to other cities. And do not be misled by the misinformation of what other cities' mishaps have been, because those are the exact things that we, as council members, majority of us, were very cautious about before signing the contract and addressing the concerns ahead of time, not post-signing, not post-agreeing. So please share accurate information. Do not perpetuate the misinformation. I support the democratic process of, you know, going through a petition process. I support and I listen to the community, but I also want accurate information shared. And the effects of making erroneous statements and inappropriate statements, such as your council failed you, which I know that there are members of this council that have said that and stated that publicly and showed up. And I think that's unfortunate, because those are specific individuals that have actually voted in favor of Flock previously. And it was okay in the core city where there are brown and black and minority disproportionately represented communities. Which I know that's a popular term. So it's okay for us to monitor them, but the moment it expands to the citywide, it's not okay for us. And I want to be very clear. We're talking about diversity, equity, inclusion. We're talking about keeping people safe. So please perpetuate accurate information.
Mayor Douglas.
Thank you. I didn't know we were going to rehash that evening. I did have a conversation back on February 5th at Our Lady Mother Church with the Social Justice Ministry, and Our Lady Mother Church with the parishioners as well. And this was our pre to the hearing. And what was spoken that night was they didn't want Flock. They didn't like the way things were going on as it was. They wanted the original ones not to be there, all because of the ICE situation. And they also came to council, and their talk was, if it was approved, they would like to work with council. But their initial outcry, or not outcry, but initial request was not to approve it. It was only after it was approved that they said they would have that conversation. So I just want to make that clear, that their intent was never to negotiate firsthand. It was first to have it voted down. So I just want to make that clear. And just, you know, I appreciate what's going on, because it's something that people have to understand what's before them and have a clear understanding what can be done. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Trujillo?
Thank you. I just want to be clear about something. I met with these same folks. Councilmember Guardiola met with these same folks. And let me tell you what happens when people actually get factual information and truthful information, is that they change their position. So I just want to be very clear about that. Thank you.
We do appear to be litigating. However, there is a public record from the meeting of April 6th, and there are also letters in that public record from various organizations stating their positions. So I think it would be easy for anyone to take a look at that. I do have one, don't leave yet, City Manager Rogers, I have one more for you. The puppy ran off.
Your question.
Councilmember Guardiola, did you want to say something else?
Yeah, and I just want to thank Councilwoman Trujillo, because they were misinformed when I went and talked to them. They didn't have the facts. They didn't even know that the flock was here. So again, misinformation until we spoke, and again, we're discrediting our residents when they told me, and we could bring them here too, that they were misinformed. So again, thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Guardiola. Is that the final comment, or does anyone else want to weigh in? Not everyone has. Councilmember Kim.
Mayor Pro Tem, I just want to clarify, did you say when Mr. Rogers walked away that you said the puppy ran off? Did I just hear that right?
Yes, he went down to the end of the table. I thought that I was joking about a puppy running away.
I understand, but that's completely inappropriate to say that about our city manager. Please be mindful of that, that's all.
Oh, my goodness. I'm sorry, City Manager Rogers, if I was offensive. I just saw you run, and I wanted to catch you before you left the room. My apologies. Councilmember Trujillo. You're done? All right.
Please just be more thoughtful about your inappropriate comments. Thank you.
Okay.
Especially from the dais.
Thank you very much. Any further judgments that anyone would like to pass along? No? All righty. Okay. I look forward to everyone being reelected. My final question to you is about xeriscaping.
Yes, ma'am.
And the artificial turf issue.
Yes.
And I was hoping that we were looking at doing like a frequently asked questions page so that people would have a really easy way of looking up some of these issues that are popping up. There seems to be confusion that I have noticed on social media.
Yes, ma'am. We do. You know what? And he disappeared. Mr. Jim Tolbert, I think he would have some more resident information that he can share around the positioning of xeriscaping on our webpage, particularly under community development. I am trying to pull that up. As you all know, we do have a dedicated webpage called Residential Landscaping, and on that dedicated webpage, and it may be somewhat buried, so there's an opportunity for us to evaluate the visibility of that particular page. But with respect to that, right, it talks about what you can plant, how you can plant your tree lawns, making the most out of your lawn with the approved. But we then have a very defined section around principles, xeriscaping, water conservation, and resources that can be relied upon in that aspect. But the question, outside of the general location of xeriscaping under the resident landscaping, The question was around development of FAQs on xeriscaping. I thought you may have some knowledge on that, sir.
I will say, we've been working on those for a while. We've hired a new landscape architect, which is a position that we've never had, and they are developing that and some samples that we can share with the public. If they come in and say, I'd like to do this, I have no clue what I can do. And we're going to be able to provide them with that guidance. And we won't do the design for them, but we will have samples of designs and what they can do. We've already got a lot of stuff, as the city manager said, on the website, but we are working on some more FAQs to try to help with that.
I guess I just don't see the artificial turf question answered right off the bat. So if it was in like simple question and answer form or bullets, I think it would be, my personal opinion would be that it would be helpful, because I do see confusion on social media. And the other would be, I'm not sure that people actually realize they need to come into the city for any kind of approval.
They don't. It's very difficult because we don't give permits for landscaping. So it's very difficult to get people in. We try to watch, we try to help, we've done mailings to landscaping companies to say, if you're doing this, please come in so we make sure you're doing it right. The whole issue of the artificial turf is actually in the code itself, but we can look at putting something in the FAQs that addresses it also.
I think that would be helpful, because there are suppliers and installers that are responding on social media also, and so people are taking steps that might be outside of code. And then what happens if they have installed artificial turf? And I understand, what happens if they install artificial turf?
It's very tough. I mean, it's, somebody has spent thousands of dollars having it put in by a supplier who should know better but wants to make their dollar off of it. Then we've got to deal with a citizen, a resident who's put it in, who is not happy. And so it is a problem. Again, but I don't think we want to go as far as saying you have to have a permit to landscape your yard. That's a little onerous to do. And so we have to try to get the word out and try to help people understand. We've had educational sessions through the HOAs the last several years about it. Hopefully they can get the word out to their folks, but we do have people that are selling materials that will sell it, without worrying about what the law is.
What about front yard and backyard? We heard last week that both front yard and backyard can't have artificial turf. Is that true? Or is it only the front yard?
Front yard is absolutely. I'd have to check the code for the rear yard. I can't, because the state laws changed on those things, and I don't ever look at it, so I just don't know it off the top of my head. But we can get back to you with that.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else? No. All right, then. We now have an executive session. Before entering into the executive session, I don't need a motion to extend the meeting because we are moving along and it is now only 8:49. So I need a motion and a second to enter into an executive session pursuant to CRS 24-6-402 4B for the purpose of receiving legal advice regarding the Fair Campaign Practices Act. Councilmember Sandoval?
So moved.
Councilmember Kim?
Second.
Is there any debate? No? All right. The motion on the floor.
Mayor Pro Tem, I have one.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Mayor.
Okay. City Attorney Zarzaki, could you explain the Fair Campaign Practice Act? Is that something you can explain?
Yes, Mayor, that is the primary purpose of the executive session, which is to give you a legal sort of oversight of what the parameters of that is as it relates to some of the issues that City Council and the city are dealing with the initiative petition, the petition initiative.
Okay, gotcha. All right, no problem. Thank you, sir.
And is there a reason this needs to be held in private as opposed to publicly?
Yes, because you're receiving legal advice. There will not be any consideration or debate amongst council members on whether you are opposed or in support of it. But again, the purpose of this is to clarify to you all what the legal parameters of the state statute is and what you are allowed to do.
Thank you. The motion on the floor is to enter into an executive session pursuant to CRS 24-6-4024B for the purpose of receiving legal advice regarding the Fair Campaign Practices Act. I will ask the clerk to take a roll call vote.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The vote is open. And Mayor Douglas, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, the vote is unanimous with one absence. We will now enter into executive session.
Thank you, Mayor Douglas. We will send you an email link.
All right, and we will, it's expected to last 45 minutes, and then we'll return for reports. All righty, thank you, everyone. It's 9:20. We are returning from the executive session, and we're moving on to reports. City Manager Rogers, could you please provide your weekly report?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I only have a couple of items that I would like to share. One, our second Speak Up event of the year is coming up on Wednesday, June 17th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at Bison Ridge Rec Center. Obviously, this Friday, we have Celebrate Juneteenth at Pioneer Park from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. The event will feature live entertainment, cultural programming, family-friendly activities, and community resources. Just this past Thursday, Music in the Park, I will have to say that was our largest attendance ever. We had around 1,900 people at Music in the Park event. So I will say we have seen a strong and growing following of the Music in the Park events. Obviously, you can't go wrong with Chicano Heat. They are a sale, they are a draw, and we saw that come to full force and freight last Thursday. So amongst obviously the resources that we've provided as part, even our mobile service unit, as well as the amenities that we've provided to our residents. So kudos to the Cultural Council, kudos to PRG, PW, ECV, PD for making sure that that first one really kicked off the season really well. And then 2 Thursdays ago, my team and I had the benefit of meeting with my counterpart at the city of Aurora, the city manager there, to discuss partnership and utilizing the Aurora Regional Navigation Campus and other resources to support Commerce City's homelessness efforts. So those conversations, those discussions are ongoing. And when we are ready to present what could be a proposal that may be appropriate for action by the council, we will do so as needed. But while we are in this stage, there's an opportunity for the city council to tour the navigation campus if there is an interest. And if there is an interest by the council or one or two, I'm more than willing to have my office coordinate with the city manager and his team in Aurora to, get a block of times when they would be available to take you all through that facility. If you've not been through that facility, it is one that they have received federal grant support, support from Arapahoe County, Adams County, and Douglas County to take an existing hotel with a conference center, which they have repurposed the conference center into a day labor, life skills center to where there may be opportunities to help provide resources to our residents, or to our homeless population to, once again, regain certain skills and abilities to enter back into the work life. That all to be said, once again, like I said, there's a number of different things that they are doing out of that campus that may be of interest to you all. If there is, let me know, and I will take the time to get you all scheduled for a tour at that facility. And last but not least, this afternoon, I had the pleasure of swearing in 10 new officers. 9 are recent graduates from our academy, and number 10, which I think is just a great story that tells you about Commerce City in of itself. The 10th was a retired Commerce City Police Department school resource officer. Some of you all may know him as James Zamora. James Zamora is coming out of retirement to serve as our new VHG school resource officer. So glad to have him back in the fold. He had been with the city before he had retired, shortly before the chief got here, for 20 years and 1 month. So to see him come back out to see what we're doing and be a part of this just kind of speaks to just how our police department has grown, has evolved, and continues to bring in, but also recruit back really good talent and really good people to be on the force to protect and serve. So to the 9 graduates and to James, welcome back. Glad to have you back. Glad to have you a part of the Commerce City family.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Councilmember Kim?
Yeah, Mr. Rogers, I would love to take that tour if your office could schedule that, please. Thank you.
I know it's a wonderful facility, and I wish that we had the scale of Aurora to actually have old hotels that have gone out of business that we could convert to housing. That would be a wonderful thing to be able to do that. We would have to build ours from scratch, but it would be great. Councilmember Teeter?
Yeah, you can put me down for that tour also. But how are they dealing with mental health with some of those people?
Great question. They actually have clinicians, and they have the name of the wraparound service that they provide escapes me, but they have what is called a tier plan, where they help to matriculate individuals from tier 1 to tier 3. Tier 3 ultimately being those who are ready to transition into permanent housing. But at different tiers, they are bringing in different wraparound services, and some of those wraparound services are the mental health clinicians to help them in being able to receive the necessary resources, whether that is medical in nature to or physiological in nature to the actual other level of assistance that may be like more physical in nature. I don't have the details at my fingertips, but it is an interesting approach. They have acknowledged that when they first opened their doors, it was a little turbulent, and just being able to work through the operation. And why it was turbulent is that the occupancy grew exponentially in a very quick period of time. They went from 0 to having around 400 occupants in that facility in less than a month. So it led to some growing pains that they've been able to work with the vendor or the contractor of the facility who's offering this under their contract to really dial it in and see some improvements. So I can get you the flyer that's been presented to me when I'm back in the office tomorrow, so that you all can kind of see their one pager that they brought to our meeting. And like I said, we're using that to help define what our future relationship will be with them as it pertains to helping to provide some of those resources that we see, that they're seeing in that facility, to the 75 that we know at any day, at any given time, that are our homeless population. I think what's an interesting aspect of it is really this day labor skills center opportunity, where they provide service where they will pick individuals up. Obviously, they are our residents, so there is a expectation that, or anticipation that they would come back to the conversation. But what they're using that day labor skill service center is an opportunity to once again be reindoctrinated into life skills, skills to be able to gain workforce development experience to ultimately then get back into that permanent transition. So there's some interesting cross sections or intersections that I can see with the city of Aurora. We are going to continue that engagement. There's interest with other municipalities at my level that I haven't had a direct conversation with, but they've expressed similar desire with Aurora. So we're now trying to multiply that intersection just between, not just with Aurora and Commerce City, but how do we look at that more regionally? So good first meetings, good conversations, but I think for you all being able to take that facility in from yourself, we'll also be able to see the opportunity that may exist for us as an organization.
I ran across Stafford Music in the park the other night. It's just a gal sitting on the sidewalk by the cat refuge across the street, and just, screaming at the top of her lungs. And it's like, what do you do with these people? She just...
Yeah, what may be, beneficial, and I don't think it would be too much for Sarah, because I know Sarah always loves taking people out on her excursions, because when we go out on those excursions to engage with that population. You know, we are bringing mental health clinicians with us if there's that need. And that was probably one of the missing middles that we had, right? There is the usual, I would call it constituent that we had in Derby that obviously was experiencing mental health related issues, but we didn't have the resources to be able to provide that direct connection at that time. So now that we have it, we are starting to see some engagement, some different engagement there that has allowed to build some confidence and some trust in our staff because of that resource. Like I said, I've been able to see it firsthand, and I think there's a different level of appreciation that I have for balancing enforcement and care and empathy for those constituents. So if there's ever an interest in wanting to go out with our community well-being to see what they're doing from that capacity, just let me know, and I'm more than willing to make that connection as well as a ride-along.
Okay, thank you. And also wanted to report on my last meeting I was at with the Rocky Mountain Wildlife Refuge. They put out a big kudos to whoever's in charge of the tree canopy program. They said they're just doing great. So I thought I should pass that along, Jim.
City Attorney Zarzaki.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. First and foremost, I just wanted to highlight that the city manager and I had the honor and opportunity to participate in the flag raising this evening for Juneteenth, and very much appreciate that opportunity. Very much appreciate the opportunity to represent this community. It's a very diverse community, and that honor is not considered lightly. So thank you very much. Second, I will be out of the office on vacation starting tomorrow through the end of the week. I will be back in office next Monday for our study session. I look forward to a very fruitful conversation about the charter review. You will see my colleague, staff attorney Quali Farbs, who has been integral in that review process since she started with my office in late 2024. I am happy to report, and I believe I sent you all an email on this, that we have hired, and it is now public, we have hired a replacement senior assistant city attorney. Her name is Shannon Chambers Nelson. Shannon comes by way of Greenwood Village, where she is a municipal attorney for the last 15 years. She is currently serving in the role as interim city attorney. Shannon's municipal law experience ranges from general legal advice to city council, planning commission. She acts as the municipal prosecutor there. She provides legal assistance to all department heads and has a great deal of experience drafting resolutions, ordinances, et cetera. So we are ecstatic to have her join our team. As you recall, this is a position that has been open since one of our senior assistant city attorneys received a promotion to become the town deputy attorney for Erie. So the last thing that I wanted to flag for you all, I'm happy to report that we are working very hard to establish the city attorney's office fall law clerk program for 2026 fall. This is something that has not been in place for several years, so I've been reaching out to folks at the DU Law School as well as the CU Law School to provide law students that are interested in public service an opportunity to participate and get real life on the job training with my office. So I'll give you an update as we establish that. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council members? Councilmember Ardiola?
Thank you. A couple things. Again, kudos to all the staff that helped put music in the park. It was huge, like you said, 1,900. And just the amount of resources and information is awesome for our residents. A lot of good feedback on that. All the departments were out there. There's boards and commissions. So kudos to the staff. Again, we appreciate that. And I think that's just a great avenue to get more people involved. I got the opportunity to go to the WOW on Friday. with Community Wellbeing Department. Super cool. Saw it in action. I encourage my colleagues to go check it out. They serve about 60 to 65 people. There's medical. I was talking to Councilmember Kim about a veterans group that was there for veterans services. Just a really awesome way to see departments in action and serving our folks. They get a lunch, they get a health screening, there's a doctor there. So again, community well-being, and it was just super cool to see them in action. I met with the Rocky Mountain Partnership organization this afternoon. Super excited of the data they have for Commerce City, and hopefully this partnership goes a long way. And also we talked about them talking to our Workforce Advisory Committee, because a lot of the stuff they're doing, they could be specific to Commerce City on different levels, the different milestones, the cradle to the career kind of pathway. So I'm looking forward to meeting with them again and seeing how we could really look at our gaps in Commerce City. So that's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Kim?
One thing I got to report is the fact that being sick for the past 3 or 4 weeks, essentially, I will say that I will be I will not be joining next Monday, unfortunately. My man-child is going to be here for Father's Day weekend, essentially, and unfortunately, he flies out essentially around the same time that we start. So, thanks.
Can't miss that, that's for sure. Yep. Anyone else? All right then, on that note, oh, sorry, Mayor.
Oh, you're fine.
There we
I
go.
probably
Sure.
hit the button when you said that. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just report that last week, E470, we had an E470 meeting. E470 is planning on renovating their existing building near 6th Avenue, E470. Over the years, 20 plus years, they have grown out their building. They're going to stay within the building and just do really massive expansion within their current walls. So while the renovation is going underway, they're going to a temporary location. The operation should last probably about 18 months or less. At Adcock Sub-Regional Transportation, we discussed, it was a CDOT's 10-year plan. Adams County Board of Commissioners also came in, gave an update on wanting to complete the inline going north. I had a lunch meeting with the Executive Director, E470, Joe Donahue, and the discussion was around Apple Green retail and commercial development on both sides of E470. The Commerce City Plazas, both those projects will be done this year. I also met with Charlie Foster, Groundworks, and Three Sons Construction. I did a walkthrough for 120th Avenue widening project, that was really good to understand what the holdup is. They ordered the construction masts, the poles, they call it the Christmas tree. The mounts have already been installed, but they're waiting for the poles to come in so they can actually finish that lane, the third lane going eastbound. So that was a really good conversation, and kudos to the staff, the police department, and all those who were involved with our first Music in the Park. Very successful at hearing those numbers. City Manager Rogers, that's a lot. And I do like the way it was set up. We gave our citizens and those who came outside of Commerce City an opportunity again to see how things are done in Commerce City, and they really appreciate the fact that we also had food for them. They said, majority of cities don't do that, so they thought that was very nice of Commerce City to think long term about the citizens. And just like I said, the weather was great, and I couldn't ask for a better night. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Mayor. And thank you for participating while you're away on a business meeting. Appreciate it. All right. Now, the time is 9:40, and seeing no further business, the meeting is adjourned.